This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
It's 11:07 at WPSL 1590, the talk of the Treasure Coast. And for all you folks listening in New York and Boston and Maine and places like that, I hope you are enjoying your snowstorm. It's only going to be 75 here. Good morning, Ms. Kandi Tucker. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
We're doing great.
Yes, we are. It's been a while since I've seen you.
Yeah, well, I've been bouncing around the state, so at least I'll be here for another 3 days, and then we're on the road again. So yeah, it's been crazy.
Nice.
Yeah, so how you been? You been doing all right?
I've been doing well. Just busy as a bee, as always.
Well, you're getting into your real busy time too, because spring
Yes, it's
spring
very
has
busy.
sprung.
Yes, it has.
So I see you have a guest here.
Yes, her name is Christina Riggs. She's with Elder Care. Um, she's she's going to speak about what she does, and she's been to our community a few times, but I haven't had the chance to meet her in person as of yet.
Well, you've got it now. Good morning, Christina.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well. So tell us about yourself.
Well, my name is Christine Rigg. I have a company. I have a few companies. One of them is called Elder Home Care Services. We provide private duty placement concierge services for in-home, also as well as rehab, hospitals, facilities that need that extra one-on-one care. And we also provide transport and placement.
So now, are these nurses?
They actually certified nursing assistants. They consider themselves nurses, but they're certified nurses, nursing assistants, LPNs or RNs, depending on the level of care that the patient does need.
And unfortunately, more and more of us are needing that, especially after various types of injuries and rehab and stuff like that.
The baby boomers are here. And there's just more and more, and it's growing. The traffic is out of control because they're just all moving to Florida.
That is so true. That is so true. Well, by the way, NBC Nightly News last night, their final story was on major pickleball injury.
Oh, yes. That's become
Ooh.
huge. Yes. A lot of rehab pickleball injuries. Yes.
Oh my. Oh boy. Yeah, it's amazing. Well, now, so you obviously work with some of the folks who live at Harbor Place as well.
I do, and I have in the past. I've been around for 17 years. I work with a lot of the communities. I also work with the rehabs, the hospitals here, Cleveland Clinic and HCA. They call on me when they need services because they know about my relationships in the community. I'm also on the board of the Treasure Coast Advocates for Seniors. I've ran the Alzheimer's Walk for 2 years in a row, the MS, Warriors for MS. So they know that I have a lot of resources, so they do call on me a lot.
Wow, that's great stuff. Kandi, any questions?
No, I mean, she's been around for 17 years. That's, commendable. I'm sure you have a lot of great relationships with a lot of the communities, assistant living communities and skilled. Are you in any skilled communities or
We
no?
are. We are. We're actually every single rehab in the Treasure Coast and some in Palm Beach as well. Yeah.
That's fantastic. I like that.
Well,
And so how many residents or patients are you seeing here at Harbor Place?
We have one at the moment, because
Uh-huh.
obviously, as you know, sometimes they call up on us late in the game. Usually
Right.
it's around hospice time or when they fell and broke something and now the family wants to relocate them closer to home. So we have a lot of short-term patients, and then very rare we'll get, maybe about 20% of our census is long-term patients.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, by long-term patients, describe that.
That means somebody that came on early on for companionship and they worked their way up through levels of care. Just stayed with us throughout the years, and now they need bathing, dressing, transferring as they're aging. They're aging in place with a caregiver, and that's very rare because sometimes the children do want them closer to home up north, or now it's time to go to an assisted living facility, and they get some of this covered through the assisted living facility, but we get called into the assisted living only when they need more one-on-one care. They're now falling all of the time. They need help transferring to their wheelchair from their bed to get down to the dining room and activities to be more involved. Or they would like a shower more than once or twice a week. They want that one-on-one attention. That's when we get called into the assisted living facility. But sometimes when they're at home, they just transfer to the assisted living facility and then call us when the time is needed.
So now, obviously, we've heard about, seeing some of the newscasts about nursing shortages throughout
Oh, yes.
South Florida. I mean, have you run into some issues there, just staffing?
Candy, did you want to answer that one? I know with
Oh,
me, CNAs and HHAs, I don't have a problem, but the nurses, yes, there is a major shortage.
I think, at Harbor Place, we're a standard licensed community, which means that we're not required to have a nurse, but we do have nurses on a few shifts here. So that's another thing that kind of sets us apart from a lot of assistant living communities, is that we have a resident care director that's a nurse. We have a nurse supervisor on another shift. So for us, we're not really feeling the nurse shortage on our end, but I do know that there are a ton of hospitals, throughout the United States that are suffering with a nursing shortage.
I know Dr. Moore of IRSC was in here doing a show just last week, and he was talking about, of course, doubling the nursing college at Indian River State College, which I guess is now a 2-year program that they've managed to streamline so that they can get more nurses in the pipeline.
Wow.
Unfortunately, during COVID, a lot of nurses decided to go in a different direction. Some of them got into the travel pay. They like and just stuck to travel because it pays very well. And so it's hard to get them back here to Florida and stay stable here. That's why, yeah, I see a lot of rehabs having staffing issues. I've been called upon on a different assisted living facilities that have different licenses where they need nurses or LPNs just for staffing. It's getting more difficult for LPNs and RNs.
Especially LPNs, because LPNs aren't utilized that much in hospitals. They're mostly in assistant living and long-term care facilities. So, yeah.
And I know, I guess, Tenet has plans to open their new hospital on Becker Road relatively soon. So they're going to need to ramp up and staff that as well.
Well, they better start now
Yes.
because they're going to need to. If they already haven't started last year, they should definitely start now. Because, the competition with these travel nurses, and I used to work for a company part-time that I recruited, well, I actually did the billing on the back end for some of the travel nurses, and some of the bill rates that I would get across my desk were um, insane. I know that Vanderbilt, they were paying, nurses a lot of money. I've seen bill rates for Northwell hospitals and the University of Arkansas Children's Hospital and Fairbanks. I mean, I've seen rates that were $219 an hour at the peak of COVID. Yes.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, I've seen some go as far as $226 an hour at the peak of COVID. These nurses, they were making a lot of money, and they still got their apartments paid for their 13 weeks assignment. They may have gotten a car stipend to travel around as far as getting back and forth to work. The bill rates were insane. And that was at the peak of COVID when everyone was, in a panic because we didn't know what was going on. We didn't know what was happening to the world. So obviously hospitals, they began to panic too, and they started outsourcing, and you had a lot of travel nurses that were making a lot of money at that time. And it's not the same now. I'm sure the bill rate is went back down because a lot of travel nurses, before COVID, they were making about $75 an hour, but when COVID hit, that's when they seen a huge, huge surge in their paychecks. There's some nurses right now that are retired just because they worked and didn't have to pay anything through COVID. So, they made a lot of money. And so that's one of the reasons why. I mean, we've been had a, nursing shortage, but that right there just contributed to it.
Well, Kandi, now, okay, travel nurses, then they're not employees of hospitals, then, right? They're employees of, I don't even know what you
The
call it,
agency,
staffing company or whatever.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Okay, wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing. I didn't even know that existed, but yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And now they're used to this pay, so it's hard to get them to stay local. All of them are still traveling. They still want that high pay.
Yeah, you give a nurse, I don't know, I'm just going to throw a raw number out there, $25, $30 an hour, when they were used to making $115 an hour, you know. Um, so yeah, they can go somewhere else. Nursing, in my opinion, um, I revere all nurses because they are heroes in my eyes. They have always been. Um, I come from a family of nurses. All my friends are nurses. So for me, my friends who are nurses, they aren't in it, for the money. And I'm not saying that all people are. I'm just saying that it's difficult nowadays, especially with everything being crazy expensive and out of control. So. Um, Hopefully we'll get some more people enrolling in school to become a nurse, and stop this shortage somehow.
Well, it's like you mentioned at the top of the show about the baby boomers. I mean, um, every field, in our IRSC business show, they talk about some of the manufacturing companies in the area. There's one in Palm City, for instance, that makes, I don't know, kind of widgets for Boeing. They've got 30 years worth of orders, and 60% of their staff is going to be retiring in the next 3 years. So they need employees to come into that pipeline to keep all of those orders, to keep those airplanes flying. So yeah, I get it. I get it. Yeah, it's amazing, and it's certainly a challenge for all of you, to be able to keep doing what you're doing. There's no doubt about it.
Thank you. I just feel that the younger generation, they got addicted to this work at home. So
Right.
it's harder for the younger generation. I know I have when I hire internally, there's always issues with the younger generation, what they've become accustomed to. And most of it is working at home or just strictly on computers.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you both deal with it? I would think that's a tremendous challenge.
Well, luckily for me, if you work for Harbor Place, you have to be here. There's no working from home. So that right there is a challenge that I don't have to try and, you know, assess and look for an answer to overcome. We are hands-on. We're 24 hours a day. We don't close. So you have to be here in the present moment. You have to be here physically.
Christina, what about you?
It's hard. I hire every day because, we have probably about 400 girls on our roster, just, CNAs, LPNs, and RNs. So we're constantly recruiting, but internally in the internal office, we don't let them work from home either. It's hard. We find that they take advantage of it. So if they're not willing to come into the office and put in the work and put their phones down, oh my God, the phone issues. But just leave the phone in the car at this point because they're addicted to it. It's really
Right.
hard.
Yeah, I would imagine that's changing everything right now.
Mhm.
It's it is. We have a professor at IRSC who does a show on Fridays, and she does basically the same thing the coaches do. She's got a box in front of her classroom, and all the phones go in there.
Yeah.
They keep their tablets, obviously, because they're taking notes on the tablets, or you hope they are. But yeah, yeah, I get it. Yeah, it's a whole different ballgame now.
Yes, it is. I remember when I was years ago, I mean maybe 20 years ago when I was working as an aide, and
You were
I
five
was
years old then, right?
I wish. Um, I remember I would see the human resources director, and if she see me with my phone out or anyone with their phone out, it was whips out. You know, you're not allowed to have your phone out. And I was just telling this story to someone the other day. If I go back in that community because she's still there and I have my phone out, I'm going to be self conscious of, oh my God, she's going to get me because, you know, that's how I, that's how I, that's how I grew up in the, how can I explain this? In the, and working in healthcare. You know, right now phones are just everywhere and we're
Mm.
all on them. And especially the younger generation. I mean, they cannot keep their eyes off of their phone for
They're
1 second.
addicted. They're
It's
addicted.
too many, it's too many social media platforms. I've seen someone, I had a girl, she was in my office a couple years ago. She was one of my managers and she was young. She's 22 and she was taking a picture in my mirror. I'm like, what are you doing? She was like, oh, I'm just posting a TikTok or something. I was like, you can't do that. You're at work. You know, this is not okay. So, yeah,
Yeah,
it's,
I
it's
would imagine.
wild.
Wow. Well, Candy, what's going on at Harbor Place here? I'm sure you've got some events, huh?
Yes, today we are having a Valentine's sweetheart party. We have went all out for it. We have hors d'oeuvres and charcuterie boards and wine and champagne. We have a entertainer that's coming. I cannot remember who he is to perform and sing for the residents in the independent living area. Yesterday we had our Valentine's Day party in the assisted living community. We had Oscar come and perform for them. He played the guitar, he sang with them. You know, we had hors d'oeuvres and treats. Um, on the 20th, we have Dr. Watson. He's coming to speak about Alzheimer's, dementia, and aging process at 2:30 here in our meeting room. And we are in the middle of planning a boots and bingo for next month. Well, I'm not sure what that's about, but it sounds fun. I'm not going to go into details right now because I don't have all of them, but it will be a fun evening activity for our independent living residents.
That sounds good. And we may hopefully when we get our spring training tickets, we'll drop some off to you. So
Oh, they will
stop,
enjoy that.
stop off at a spring training game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds great. That really does. Now, Christina, you mentioned about a lot of rehab facilities. Um, are they getting busier now, or has it always been constantly busy here on the Treasure Coast?
It goes by season, so it's a seasonal thing. There are some beds available because now they're just popping up all over the place as well. This past year, I've seen a high rate of stroke and heart attacks, I mean, more than usual. So I have had a lot of patients discharge on that from these rehabs. And some of them even they're in their fifties, literally just turned 50. It's, I don't know what's going on, but we've had a really high stroke and heart attack season. But it is snowbird season, so they are expecting them to start dying down. But they all still have beds available.
Yeah, well, Candy, as far as you're concerned, I know you and Pat. I know when I called last week, you were both doing tours, so things have got to be hopping at Harbor Place.
Yeah, we've had a few move-ins. I believe we've had 4 of them already this month, you know.
Wow.
So yeah, Pat is she is she's busy. She is always, with a resident or a potential resident. Um, she is extremely great at what she does, and she knows how to close those deals. So I'm very grateful for that.
And I know I was talking with Pat last week. You're going to have the veterans talks next month as well. And of course, the ultimate expert on that is going to be coming to Harbor Place, and he's always great with the residents.
Yeah, I don't have a specific date yet, but I need to get with Pat and we'll iron out the details. But I'm looking forward to that as well.
That's wonderful. Now, Christina, how does someone pay for your services? Is it um, through insurance?
So
How does that work?
Medicare is different in all states. Medicare is in the state of Florida only covers your skilled, your PT, your OT, and a nursing visit. Otherwise, if they needed private duty, there's either cash pay, which is maybe 30% of our residents, and then the rest are either long-term care insurance, catastrophic insurance, VA benefits, or Medicaid. Those are the 5 different ways to pay for private duty.
Catastrophic insurance. I don't think I've heard that before.
Catastrophic is mostly I've seen with New Yorkers. A lot of New York government employees have in their retirement package what is called catastrophic, and it's a reimbursement.
Interesting. I've never heard that before.
Yep, a lot of people don't. That's why when I go interview a patient, I ask them what they did for a living, and I let them know why, because we get a lot of New Yorkers, a lot. So I let them know why I'm asking, and because a lot of them aren't even aware it's in their retirement package.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. You guys have to be so versatile. I mean, that's um, part of you is in law, and part of you is in nursing, and and HR, and all the above. It's amazing.
We're universal workers.
Yeah,
We wear many hats.
we have to
Yeah.
be
When you work
educated.
in healthcare, many hats.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's incredible. Uh, but yeah, Candy, as you've stressed for as long as you've been on here, is what you do really is a calling. I mean, it's not like a stockbroker or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have some type of compassion and empathy. Something has to align in your spirit to want to do this. Um, and I always tell people 23 years ago, I was forced to fill out an application for an assistant living community. It had 20 beds. It was a Alzheimer's and dementia residence. It was a small community in Charlotte, and I did not want to. Went there unwillingly, and I got paid $7.50 an hour. Um, I got punched in the face by the residents. I got beat up, kicked at, called all kinds of names, and surprisingly, it didn't bother me. And all I wanted to do was help. So um, I stayed in this field ever since then. I've worked in almost every department, worked as a personal care assistant, a CNA, activities person, activities director, memory care director, I was transportation driver, central supply coordinator. I've done almost every job. I mean, I was picking up large shipments of supplies and passing out briefs to a 300 bed community, um, and taking those residents to the doctors and doing all of the paperwork and everything, and sitting there and being the family member, because a lot of them didn't have family members to go to the doctor's appointments with them. Um, and I loved it. I loved everything about why I got into this to this field, because it was meant for me to be here. Um, this was what I was always meant to do. I never realized that until about 10 years ago. But, I went to school for nursing. I got my bachelor's degree in healthcare management because not only I can't save the world, and that's why I'm not a nurse, because I thought being a nurse you could save the world, and that was just not true. But I can teach. I can teach those to have um, good bedside manners, and looking at it from another point of view, and putting yourself in the residents or family member shoes. And I've been a family member of someone who was, in a nursing home. My mother, my father was going to dialysis as well. So, you know, every part of healthcare and every part of what I'm doing now is is everything of who I am, and what I do every day, every interaction I have with every resident, family member or staff member, um, is personal, and I always want our residents to be seen, heard, um, and I can go on and on about this because it's so special to me. Um, it's just I'm never gonna not do this. It's just I'm gonna be 90 years old in someone's assisted living community, trying to be the executive director, trying to be friends with her so I can help her run the community. They're gonna put me in memory care. You're gonna think I lost my mind, you know?
Well, it is true though, because I would imagine, like thousands of other people, I have no relatives here. They're the ones that are still on this planet are in California. So, I would be all alone here. So I would imagine there are a lot of folks like that, and you do become their family at
Right,
that point.
And
right,
unfortunately, is some of the children just don't care. They just dump their parents here too. That's where we come in.
right.
That sounds horrible to hear, but I've seen it happen over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I'm sure both me and Candy have a lot of stories.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Um,
Well, then how does something like that work, Candy, when, all of a sudden you deal with the kids and they say, do what you need to do, and we just don't want to be involved?
put it in writing.
Hmm.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah.
It becomes a legal thing.
Well, there's a lot of different aspects. If they're the power of attorney or the healthcare surrogate, they have to be involved, or they need to go get an attorney to not, you know, to relinquish their involvement, But for those residents who are their own, who speak for themselves and who are their own power of attorney, and they don't have anyone, absolutely will step in on very lightly though, uh, on their behalf for their best interest. There have been times that I've had to reach out to a person that provides guardianship, um, for our residents, not here specifically at Harbor Place, but I've had to have residents, get a guardian because there are certain things that they were unable to do, and we were unable to assist them with. If they can't write a check, you know, they need help. If they can't, make their own decisions involving their health care, then they need help.
Wow. Yeah, that's incredible. That's so true. And there again, as you're networking with Christina and other folks, that's where your network of experts, if you will, come in, right?
Absolutely.
Wow. That just seems like that would be so difficult. But and I do remember a couple of your residents that we used to talk to during the Christmas kid shows there, um, who were here from a foreign country, and that's got to be even more difficult.
Right. I had a resident at a previous community. She was Canadian. Um, and she didn't have any insurance down here. Her daughter was paying for everything. Um, and her daughter was pretty much burnt out because she was doing everything she could for her mother. And there are times where family members, they get burnt out, they get stressed out because they have taken on more than what they can handle. I mean, her daughter would come to the community and work out of her mother's room. I mean, I felt it. I had to go above and beyond for this person because one, she really couldn't afford to be there, but where else was she going to go? So we offered her a discount. And two, I have a friend that's a doctor that I brought into the community. Um, Her services were, cut in half as far as the price. And she was billed in a way where others were not billed because of her situation. So you gotta, be able to think quickly and find some kind of balance to take care of your residents. Um, you know, there's been times where I've had residents who uh, were foreign and they didn't have the funds, I mean, to pay. I mean, there were things that we had to do to make sure that they could still reside in our community. Not everything is about making sure you collect a check. It's their well-being, while as well as giving them a quality of life.
Yeah, because
You know,
you are their home.
right, you protect them as you would your own family. So
Yeah, you just think, okay, this would be kind of neat to be in a position where, you uh, can do something for people, but sometimes you don't know the extent of what you really have to do.
oh, it's a lot, you know. It's challenging every day. Um, but that's just the way it is. That's never going to change. If it was boring and not challenging, I probably wouldn't feel fulfilled. Um, Something's boring and it's slow or it's not challenging, then I'm not doing something right. If it's too easy, I've done it wrong.
Well, and I know you had talked about wearing a bunch of hats, and what was it, a couple weeks ago you were laughing about even having to be a chef for a while.
Oh my God, yes, that was that was uh that was something else. Like I said, I cried on the inside because being in the you know kitchen for hours, cooking for a large amount of people twice a day, and granted I only did it twice a day, twice a week for a month. I was getting home at 10 o'clock at night. There were sometimes residents got pizza because I was just exhausted. They got pizza and salad. We gave them a dessert as well so they can have all of their food groups. But it was a lot. But you know what? You have to do what you have to do in order to get the job done, and that's what's expected and required.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, you just have to
Yeah.
get the job done. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. Christina, any incidents like that occur in your life?
Oh, we have a lot of incidents, but some of the stuff is probably not radio appropriate, but I mean, if you don't love, and just as she says, if you do not have a love for people or understand the disease, some things that that's how, one of the things that how we remove caregivers from our roster. You have no business being a caregiver or even in the healthcare industry at all, at all.
Very good.
Right.
Some people get in it for a paycheck. You can't do this just for a paycheck. You have to have compassion, love of people, and understand the disease. Like she said, spit on, kicked at, pushed. This it's a disease. They can't control
Yeah.
themselves, and you have to understand it.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is really a heavy conversation. It's kind of like what people don't see in your business,
Right.
but what you have to live to do what you do.
And
Yeah.
we've had to call DC up on some family members because they don't even understand the disease. They don't, there needs to be more, support groups, education, free to them, just so they can start understanding the disease.
And a lot of the times they're in denial.
Mhm.
They'll they'll deny everything and say, "Moms, there's no way." Because you know what? Sometimes residents who suffer from Alzheimer's dementia, it's like their memory light comes on when their family is around.
Mhm.
Or it can be the exact opposite. They're confused when their family come around, even more so. You don't know why. You don't know why at all. You just got to roll with it.
And you
It's
can't
so
force them to take medication,
right,
so you have to find
right,
ways, and some of them aren't even properly medicated. Mm.
right. You have to find ways around it. So,
Oh, this is incredible. It really is. Well, Candy, getting back to your events at Harbor Place, you're swinging into spring right now.
yes, we are. We are going to have a huge party today. I encouraged all the residents to dress up in their, Valentine's Day wear, if you will. I don't know if that will happen because since today is not Valentine's Day. But I am very excited about this party for them, and they are looking forward to it. We decorated the community. We have a photo booth for them. We have a lot of balloons and um, huge, huge. I think we have a 5 foot bottle of champagne balloon, so it's just something that's going to be fun. And like I said earlier, we have Dr. Watson coming on the 20th of this month at 2:30 to speak about Alzheimer's dementia
And he's a
and
really
the
good
aging
speaker too.
process.
Yeah.
And I am looking forward to that because I've not met him. I am eager to hear him speak.
He is amazing. Yeah, we've had him on the show. It's been a while, but yeah, we've had him on the show before. Yeah, he is some kind of a speaker, and of course, does he have stories as well? Yeah. So that's all coming up as well, um, and I guess for community groups, you've got the back room, and if you're, whatever, it's a Rotary or Kiwanis or something like that, you've got room for them right there at Harbor Place.
Oh yeah, we do. We have the retired nurses. They come here and they meet once a month. They have lunch. They network with each other. I was very fortunate. I got to meet them last month. I believe it was last month or this month. I don't know. But I met them. They were very, very friendly, welcoming. As long as you have an active nurse's license, um, they will allow you in their group, but they do meet here. They have lunch here. They pay, a specific amount for their lunch, and it's just an enjoyable time for them. One of our independent living residents, Joan, she sets up the whole thing, and I'll find out from her when the next meeting is, so that I can let anyone that wants to know, um, or anyone that's interested in being a part of their retired nurses networking community.
Christina, how did folks get in touch with you at Elder Home Care Services?
Well, we're available 24/7, 7 days a week, including holidays. We don't have a call service, so they're welcome to call us at our office number is 772-924-9700. They will always get a case manager on the phone no matter what time it is.
Oh, wow, no call center.
We don't do call centers. We believe in full service. We don't
That's
close on at
fantastic.
5 o'clock. Yeah.
Wow, that's unique in today's world.
I get a lot of calls on the weekend saying, "Oh, you answered the phone." Yes, we did. So, yeah. And
Yeah.
usually those are the initial calls, and everyone else has a call service, so they miss out on those calls.
Wow. Yeah.
And our patients, they know that they can get a hold of us for any emergencies. Our caregivers, it's pertinent that our caregivers are able to get a hold of us after hours, because the shift changes could be at 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 9 o'clock, if they need
Right.
to get a hold of us.
Yeah, well, I would imagine in both of your cases, Candy, you need it when you need them there, and Christina, you need them just to be there for
Absolutely.
call.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's great that you guys don't, have like a call center, because sometimes something is so extremely important that, oh my gosh, I have a resident, it's Friday night, he needs a sitter because he's displaying that he's exit seeking, and we're
Yep.
not memory care. We need a sitter, and we need one ASAP.
Yep.
The one we had called out, or whatever,
We
or
get
she
that a
had an
lot.
emergency, we need another one. So that's really great that we can call and get someone on the phone as soon as we call. So
Yeah.
that's
We
really
provide a lot of same-day service. Absolutely.
that is amazing.
Well, that sounds great. Yeah, because you when you need your services, it's kind of like you got to be there.
Right.
You're really, in a way, you're both first responders, so to speak. Well,
That's true.
you are in healthcare.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's amazing. Yeah, it's truly amazing. Well, Candy, with the spring, it comes to a lot of folks from the north, especially you'll probably get a lot of calls after today's snowstorm that we got to get out of here and come to Florida.
Oh yeah, Florida's crowded enough. It's about to get even more crowded with all the snowbirds. Well, wait a minute, they'll be leaving, right? Am I
Yeah,
saying this right? Because I'm not from here, so I need to know.
they're supposed to, but you're gonna get a lot of around Passover, Easter, when the family up north comes to visit. Oh my God, I didn't know mom and dad were living this way. I get a lot of calls on Easter that week.
Oh, okay.
Yep, then that's when they start searching.
Okay. All
Mhm.
right.
Thanksgiving, Easter, and Christmas, and for some reason, Super Bowl Sunday. Every Super Bowl Sunday, end up in the bathroom with my phone to my ear. I don't know why. Yeah.
Wow. That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay.
Wow.
Did you have an uptick during the Super Bowl the other day?
That's what happens every Super Bowl Sunday. I get stuck. Everyone gets to enjoy everything, and I get stuck in a bathroom away from the noise, taking calls. I don't know if the children are visiting Super Bowl Sunday. I don't know, but it's those 4 days are the
Oh,
busiest
wow.
days. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow, I never would have expected that.
That's
That's
how we answer our phone on holidays. Yeah. And
Yeah.
weekends. Yeah.
Right. You have to answer the phone.
Yeah.
Period. There's no, if I'm awake, I'm answering the phone. It's
Mhm.
11:30, midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, and there's someone calling. I answer because I don't know
Yeah.
what to expect. I don't know if it's a
They could
resident
be on
fail,
hospice,
resident
right?
passed,
Yeah.
something, the building's on fire, God forbid.
Mhm.
Is the state here visiting us? Is the ombudsman around? I don't know. I answer every single call because I need to know everything that's going on. Am I always going to remember everything? No, but I need to know everything.
well, and Christina, for you, you have got several businesses, so I mean, you do wear a lot of hats.
Yes, and it ends up being a full circle. We did transport because we saw such a need. We would go to rehabs and transport wouldn't be till the next day or 10 hours later because there was just a shortage of it. As far as placement, I've been with the communities. I know all the communities, the rehabs, so we just got involved with placement this last year, but I always helped place before that regardless. And the private duty, I make sure we're educated on the VA benefits, the Medicaid. We don't take Medicaid, but I make sure that they get their Medicaid benefits, and then I pass them off to a sister company. It's anyone in this industry, you need to be educated in the full circle. Even though I don't
Right.
take Medicare, I know all about the ins and outs on Medicare and getting my patient on the right Medicare so I can make sure that they're taken care of, going to the right doctors. So you can't just be a marketer. You have to know everything in the industry so you can educate your patients as well.
Well, you talk about Medicare. I mean, with all the
Mhm.
HMOs that are out there and stuff like that,
Those
I
are
mean, that's gonna
horrible.
be a nightmare.
Horrible. Yeah, absolutely. And the problem is most of these residents and patients, they're being tricked off their traditional Medicare. I literally just had a phone call with Cleveland Clinic this morning, and they were asking me about what's going on in the community. And I said, this has been an ongoing problem. I can't tell you how many of my patients, some of them opted in for it because they were promised the world and didn't realize that you get nothing once you're hospitalized. And some of them were just tricked out of it because come open
That's sad.
enrollment, they're taking calls, they represent themselves as their Medicare representative, and the next thing you know, they flipped them to another insurance come the first of the year. And my patient had no clue until all their therapy stopped, or we want you out of the hospital now because you're no longer on traditional Medicare. Something needs to be done about them being tricked out of their traditional Medicare. Or being promised the world, these commercials that represent themselves as Medicare, and they're not. You know, because they show their red, white, and blue card, and these seniors, they hear free, or that, oh, I'll get free groceries, and they don't get it.
You know, or glasses or something like that, that you probably would not get with
Yeah.
regular Medicare.
And they think it's the best thing on earth until the moment they're hospitalized.
Yeah.
Then you see what you got.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, then it really does become real. And, and say then if you want to come back, it takes
It's almost impossible. It's almost impossible. Yeah. Your rate is either quadruple or you don't qualify because now you have pre-existing conditions. If you've been hospitalized or rehab, you have to have a 90-day with no issues, then you can qualify. But then again, it's quadruple the money and they can't afford it. So once you come off, because they're tricked off of it and you can't go back.
That's so sad.
Yeah. And you know, in that marketing, you think millions of dollars goes in from those insurance companies in those ads to
Oh, yes.
yeah.
I won't name any insurance companies, but I hate when I see people wearing their little things because they give everything away for free, you know, little apparel and mugs and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's amazing the whole marketing aspect of it, and it's not the real deal, but yeah, I guess we all learn the hard way sometimes.
Yes, we
Wow.
do.
Well, Candy, we've got a couple more minutes. Final thoughts for you as we're almost into March. This is absurd. It's going so fast.
Well, January seemed like it took 3 months for it to be over with. January is like the longest month. I'm glad for the spring, but I do know that I am going to enjoy these last little bit of days of where the weather is pleasant because it's going to be hot for the rest of the year. I've definitely enjoyed the winter that we had this year. It was longer than normal, um, but I'm not looking forward to the heat. But as far as Harbor Place goes, if anyone out there is interested in touring our community, we are located at 3700 Southeast Jennings Road in Port St. Lucie. Our telephone number here is 772-337-4330. You can ask for myself or Pat for a tour, or just simply come in during normal business hours and request a tour. One of us will be glad to assist you and show you our lovely community. I guarantee you'll fall in love with it. It will take your breath away. It takes my breath away every day. I pull into the parking lot and I look at this building and I say to myself, I get to be here. I'm so blessed to be here. And I tell my team every day, we are so blessed to have the opportunity to work with the residents that live here, to be entrusted by themselves and their family members, and to work for such a great company. As I've always stated before, I have been waiting for this building. I've been waiting to become the ED for 3 years. Been waiting for whoever was in the chair before me to leave. That has finally came. I am finally home, and I am so happy to be here.
Well, I know that you will enjoy it as your predecessors have, and
Yes,
you know, and of course, I know Katrina was anxious to get back to her home in Orlando, and of course, the remodeling after the hurricane up there.
right.
So, yeah, yeah, so it worked out for all of you.
It sure did. Actually, they are getting ready to open up that building within the next week or so. My maintenance director is up there today assisting them in doing some trainings up there. So I know Katrina is going to be extremely happy when she gets her residents back in her building and continue to run her day-to-day operations as she did before the flooding happened. So we are all so excited for our Orlando building to be opening back up soon.
Well, and getting back to you, and of course, we will be coming into the hurricane season. You're totally generatored up. You're
Yeah.
also in probably the best power area. Uh,
Yes, we're on the hospital grid.
that's it. Bingo. You're right next to St. Lucie Medical Center. So, yeah. So, you'll be first to get power, but again, you're totally generated. So,
Right.
nothing really changes inside.
We're going to be just fine. This is probably one of the safest places to be in the event, uh, of a potential, hurricane. So I know if one, comes, I'm coming straight here and I'll be right here with my team and my residents unless we are called to evacuate.
Which I would say would really be few and far between because
Right.
that building is just rock solid. And
Yep. State of the art.
you bet. State of the art. Well, thank you both for being with us. Christina Riggs, Elder Home Care Services, and of course, Kandi. Um, as always, hey, we'll see you next week, okay?
Bye.
You've been listening to Never Alone from Harbor Place. Discover a luxurious lifestyle. Discover Harbor Place in Port St. Lucie, offering the finest in independent and assisted living. Do you want to spend your golden years maintaining a home, cleaning a house? Not at Harbor Place. The experienced staff at Harbor Place takes care of everything, so you can enjoy all that the community has to offer. Call 772-337-4330 for a tour of the gem of senior living on the Treasure Coast. Are you or your parents swimmers? Enjoy the beautiful outdoor pool. After your swim, enjoy fine dining with your friends. And don't forget to explore the Treasure Coast, from hiking trails to numerous golf courses. Active seniors enjoy Harbor Place. You can join them too. 337-4330. Harbor Place, and welcome home.